Hi, I'm Victor Morganti from Vive. Today we're going to be looking at a collaborative fact-based modelling using Boston Online and how projects, users, groups, functions, roles and permissions work together to orchestrate what people can and can't do within models within a project. So before us we have an instance of Boston Online open inside a browser, and Boston Online is a complete version of Boston Professional but run through a browser. So the first thing we're going to talk about is users, and I'm logged in as a user. We've set up a user called Cindy for this demonstration, and Cindy's already logged into Boston Online. And if Cindy wanted to see her profile in Boston Online, she just clicks on the profile button in the toolbar, and we see Cindy's username, first name and last name, and how Cindy can set her password by setting her password and confirming that. Below that we see the included roles that Cindy plays or can play within projects, and Cindy's set up so that she can be a modeler or a project leader. Every user in Boston Online is set up as a modeler, and you'll see the functions down here are all the different functions that Cindy can perform within a model, within a project. And because we're talking about fact-based modeling, she can do things like adding, creating and altering entity types, fact types, value types, model notes, role constraints, etc. It's a combination of the roles that a person plays on a project and their permissions which ultimately determine what they can do. The role modeler provides every functionality, and then we further refine that within a project, and we'll show you that as we move on. So Cindy is included in a group called the Iris group, and there's one project in the Iris group called Iris. And we can see that Cindy has her personal models and the Iris project, and is included within another project which we use for another demonstration called real-time collaboration demonstration. So they're the projects that she is involved in and can work with the models within those projects. If we look at the Iris project and click on it, we can see that Cindy has full rights on that project. She can read, alter and create, read and alter model elements within models within that project, and we'll show you how to do that. Set that up. So that's a user profile. Now, groups within Boston Online are simply a group of people. So if you wanted to create a group, you go user, group, add group, and just give the group a name. So you're setting up a group of users to work on a project and to collaborate on that project. We won't set one up at the moment, but you just give a group a name and hit OK and save the name of the group. Cindy's already set up a group, so we'll go user group, edit group, and Cindy has set up the Iris group. So let's have a look at that, and it just still has the group name, and we can see that we've already included some users within the group. Cindy's a member of the group, of course, because she created the group. We've set up another couple of users and included them in the group, Jenna and Robin. To invite a new user to the group, because you're on the internet, you only invite people to join the group that you know, but you just type in the name of the person. We know Darcy Paleo, that's another user that we set up for this demonstration, and we're going to invite Darcy to join the group. So just click on invite and confirm that, and Darcy's name hasn't automatically appeared within the group because Darcy needs to accept that invitation. So let's just OK out of there, go to another tab or another browser, and let's pretend we're Darcy and we're logging into Boston Online. Now, as soon as Darcy logs in, he'll get a notification down here saying you've been invited to join the group Iris and by Cindy, and do you want to accept that? We're going to say yes, we're going to accept that. And so now Darcy has joined the group. Now if we go back to the tab which is Cindy, and we edit that group again, so we can edit the Iris group, we'll see Darcy has joined the group. So that's how you set up groups in Boston Online, and you simply create a name and start inviting people, and people elect to accept or decline the invitation to join a group. Moving on to projects, we've already set up a project, but adding a project is as simple as just creating a name for the project. So you might have a project that you want people to work on, and you just create the name of the project, and similarly you invite people to join that project. So we're going to look at a project that Cindy's already set up called the Iris project. And we can see the project name Iris. We can see that Cindy's created that project, and immediately we can see the list of users that are already on that project. Now, excuse me, Darcy isn't included in the project at this stage, so we're going to invite Darcy to join the group. We do that the same way that we invite people to join a group, and we just click on invite and confirm. And if we go back to Darcy, we should see down here a notification saying you've been invited to join the project by Cindy, do you want to accept that? So Darcy could be working away doing whatever he does on Boston Online, and those notifications will appear for Darcy to accept or decline offers to join groups and projects. So we're going to accept that, and if we go back into the project, we can see now that Darcy Palayo has now joined the group, and his role on the group is as a modeler. Each person within a project is assigned a role, and generally it's the roles that they are set up as users to have. So Cindy, as the creator of the project, is both the modeler and a project leader. If someone fulfills the role as a project leader on a project, they have the ability to modify that project. So you need to be judicious about who you invite to be or elect to be a project leader on a group, because they can add and remove users to the project. So let's set up, say we'll set up Darcy as a project leader as well. And now Darcy is a project leader. That means that Darcy can now modify this project. When you click on someone's name in the included users list, down at the bottom of the form you'll see the least restrictive permissions between the user and group that a person has on a project. So we clicked on Cindy, and Cindy has full rights. She can create, read and alter model elements within models on the project. We can individually set up user permissions by going to user permissions, and if we look at, say, Jenna, we've said that Jenna has no permission on this particular project. Permissions determine whether you can ultimately create, read and alter model elements within models within a project. And permissions are least restrictive between a user and the group that they belong to on a project. So you need to be careful, because if we look at the groups in the project, we've got the Iris group already included in the project, and Jenna is a member of the group that's on the project. If we look at the group permissions for the Iris group, everyone on the Iris group can read. So if we go back to the user, Jenna, even though we set her up as having no permissions, the group permissions override it, and she can read whatever we do within a model within the project. So once again, permissions are the least restrictive between user and group as they work together on a particular project. So we've looked at users on a project. We invite users by typing in their name over here and inviting them. Similarly with groups, if we wanted to include another group within our project, we could type in the name of that group and invite that group. The leader of that group will get, the creator of that group will get a notification to accept or decline the invitation to include that group within the project. And we set up permissions for groups, and we set up permissions for users, and it's always the least restrictive set of permissions which ultimately a user is granted within a project. Projects also have another element, which is namespaces within the project. We won't talk about those today. Every time you set up a project, you always get a default namespace called default. So that's users, groups, projects, roles, functions, and permissions. So let's see all that in action. We'll cancel out of there and let's go to the Iris group. Now Cindy is the creator of the Iris project and the Iris group, so she has access to see models within that project. So we've selected the Iris project, we're at the default namespace, and there's already one model set up within the Iris project, and there's a model called Iris project Iris project called inside the Iris project, and it has one page. Let's open that page. So it's just a very simple model. Person has first name, person has last name, and an external uniqueness constraint across first name and last name for a person. And we can see that Cindy can move elements around, and similarly Cindy can add, edit and delete elements from the group, from the model. If we go to Jenna, so I've already logged in as Jenna, and we go to the Iris project, and there's a model called Iris project within the Iris project, and we go to that same model and open up the page. We'll get a note saying, please note that you do not have alter permissions on this project. So if we try to move an element or delete an element or alter that element, we get the same notification coming up. Please note that you do not have alter permissions on this project. So all Jenna can really do is read, and we saw earlier that Jenna only had read permissions on this project. So if I go back to Cindy and I move an element in the model, that same element will be moved on Jenna's screen, but of course you won't be able to alter it. So that's how you set up security permissions, basically, for models within projects and for the users and groups that are involved in that project. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.